So it roughly started when I started working and realized how many countries do have a legacy portal or a legacy repository. And I'm very glad you and Peter spoke because we're talking about a lot of repositories that's out there. Let me see. Okay, so the Polar Archive Network platform preserving polar humanities knowledge. I think we didn't really speak about humanities at this stage that much. And as I always say, if it wasn't for humans, there won't be any research. So why don't we record the humans as well or save them? So as you can see, there's collaboration and impact. And the biggest question is, should it be in Polar Archival Network or should it an Arctic network, archival network? It's a very difficult question. And I will carry on to give you some feedback. We established some goals and objectives for it, standardized portal for an archive, identify and digitize key historical documents that's got to go on. Thinking about what you just told, Peter, is that I've got a first SANAP symposium that was in 2003 on my digital archive. So these things are very important, getting back to a lot of things. And although all these articles has been published since ages, and South Africa is very long part of the Antarctic environment. So there's lots of aims, goals, and objectives. I'm not going through them. But the last point is probably the difficult one, is advocate for sustainable funding and policy support for polar archives or for Antarctic archives. That's just to see where we go from here. So the March workshop I've put out and I've asked like Skadam and Shaz, how do they feel about it? I got a response of 55 people that want to attend it. I thought it was going to be 10. And I was totally, what? And it was actually amazing. We were about 20 people in person and a lot of people online. And that made me realize how important it is to create this portal. Because there's repositories all over the world. You've just spoken about that portal that's there. And it's not been grabbing everything together. And we need that. Also going a bit further, the key outcomes, it was access, language, and inclusion. Very difficult language. We're doing with a lot of languages. We're doing with indigenous people as well. Policy, ethics, and governance. Standards, metadata, and interoperability. We're talking about the real difficult platform here because every country is doing their own thing. Every project is doing their own thing. Everybody is doing probably different methodologies, different metadata. So it will take some work getting it done. Capacity building and collaboration, and that I think is why I'm in this session, is that collaboration is so important in this regard. To create a correct infrastructure and timeline and future planning. And you will see that hopefully for the next polar year will be done and with hopefully giving a demonstration at SCAR 2026 in Oslo. So, Polar Archival Network and Arctic Archival Network. If I'm going just for Antarctic, I'll go through SCAR, getting an action group going, getting an expert group going, and now there will be support. Would it be a network? Just a network of people? Will it be a platform? Will it be a hub? And then the big question, funding. So the next steps is to inform everybody, to organize it, establish and prepare and go to a draft. So I want to go further. So just quick background where it came from. In 2014 it was talked about. In 2016 I joined the inaugural Polar Museum Network at the From Museum in Oslo, and we wanted to work together. We started with a Facebook page, but it's not that supported by everybody. It's something very necessary. So we were talking about here, should we start including museums? Oh, and then somebody said libraries, and I'm a librarian, so yes, libraries, please, libraries. Then in 2017 comes along, and me and Ursula talked a lot about it. She's just spoken to you. And we held a workshop in 2019 at the SHAS conference in Ushuaia. And there's really a need for this and for people to know how to record it, especially in the humanities research. They don't know which data formats to use. They haven't got a manual. And yeah, I want to come to Taku, sorry. I'm just pointing people out. So Taku said to me, but isn't there a manual how to create a legacy repository. And yeah, I want to Dana's poster. Dana is helping me currently creating a manual to set up that. But this will all form part of a draft platform. So I'd like to show you a really mock-up of what I've put into after the workshop in Cambridge. People gave a lot of feedback. It was really 2 days worth it, really worth it, and we got to a lot of things. I think there's much room for improvement, but I'll quickly go through this. So what you can see here is that we want to create, as you can see, Antarctic Polar. So I'm just going to talk Polar Archive Network. Would have a bit of about, and I will go to that, archive members, resources, news and contact, and the usual thing. And what we think is that as soon as there's a new collection available or a new library collection available, even new art, the museum in Nevada, actually the art gallery in Nevada, is so good. And they've got such a huge collection of art. And I think that's all over the world, actually. I don't think it is just in the US. We've got it all with people privately. So I just want to quickly go back. You probably won't see it. There's little museum signs here. South Africa got an Antarctic Legacy Archive. So going there is that when you pop up here, you will be able to click on it and see where there's all these archives all over the world. England is a little bit small country, so I'm not sure I'm going to put them all in. But this is what we're looking at. There would be obviously a Facebook feed, a Blue Sky feed, and obviously a LinkedIn feed, because that's also having all the professionals like archivists, like librarians, like people in archaeology, museumology, and all that. So it is really, I hope it can happen. So this is the vision that's been on the previous slides. That will be part of the about. And then I've really gone and checked what is available, and it is difficult, but you can see most of these countries is in some way have a little bit of literature or something about Antarctica. So you will be able to choose, just go to Africa, Australia. I've put in there Zimbabwe, because I've got one article of Zimbabwe on my archive, so Zimbabwe need to be there, but it was in Rhodesia, but in any case. I know Algeria and Kenya are very interested. So currently they don't have anything, but they have shown an interest and they've been attending many of SCARs. So obviously Europe and the rest is all there. Sorry, hope my voice out. So when you go to, and I've chosen here the United Kingdom and Ireland because it's very easy. There's the Scott Polar Research Institute. There's the archives, there's the library, there's the museum. What would happen here is you will go to that button, you will click on it, you will go to the Scott Polar. So the Scott Polar will still hold their own unique collection and their own methodology. We've got to think about sort of that it can talk to each other, but in that regard. And the British Antarctic Survey, like Ewan, will be part of this whole network platform thing. And I've got to mention Elizabeth Williams' support on this is very much well received in any case. So then there will be a little bit of description, what is in there that people can know, what they would find there. You would be able to click on a letter for a country or even a surname, like you know Ria Olivier and you know her. I can go into an O and I'll click on it and I'll see what she's doing. But in that regard, going further, I've chosen South Africa now here, so it would have the institution like people that is involved in it and has an archivist or has artifacts, has knowledge, and their contact details will be available here. And I think that's very important, is that spreading the knowledge from one professional to another, because why do we want to reinvent the wheel? I always say that there's somebody that's already done it. Then there will be obviously an events calendar. I've mentioned here an art gallery, but it was this year or is now next year, I can't remember. I've put in there the Polar Data Forum, I've put in Chaz, and I've put in later on the rest. What's also very important, resource documents. So the policy document, you will link here to the SCADM document, and obviously if it's polar, to the Arctic policies. guidelines for establishing a physical archive as well as a digital repository, list of metadata that has been compiled. And there's where the translation will come in. Try and do it in a few languages, not all 11 languages of South Africa probably, but a few other languages. Also preserving guidelines, as that's very important, digitizing guidelines. We all spoke about AI and the way that it can be used, and then training manuals. We want people to do this, and how are they going to do it? So, and then there will obviously a contact page where you can see it. There will be a research page, not a research, a search button on the first page that you will be able to search, but that will only be functional as soon as metadata are linked to each other. It's a real passion of mine. I think Taco and Ursula can tell you I can't get off the bandwagon. And it was on my bucket list, and I'm retirement age, so I rather want to get it done before I leave. So I hope if anybody of you are interested, my details are on the slides. Please contact me if you haven't got a good voice. There is a workshop supposed to happen on Friday. So if anybody that wants to attend the workshop can please email me so that I see if I'm okay. Otherwise, I will schedule another online meeting and send the documents. All the people that attend the workshop online or either in person in March did receive all the necessary documents. So the process further is to create an action group for SCAR and get it in January at SCAR delegates meeting, at the delegates meeting and the executive committee to see if they can sort of support us. Thank you.
So we're going to steal the mic just in case there's any questions. Shannon, I knew it.
I mean, I'm a prime candidate. Hi, Ria. So I'm also a librarian. Have you had any contact with the Polar Libraries colloquy?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I've listed a lot of things, and that's why we want a workshop. We want a workshop that can create all that is necessary, and that will be an intensive workshop at SCAR specifically.
Okay, so I just wanted to let you know, I've got my card and I've written it down for you.
I've definitely taken it.
We've been together for about 35 years, and we have both Antarctic and Arctic libraries and archives, and I think it would be great to collaborate.
Yeah. I think there's really a need for this. I really want this to happen. Those that know me, how important it is to me. It's. I think we've got to highlight the humans in the polar research, definitely.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ria? No? Awesome. Thank you, Ria, so much. And let's give her another round of applause.